How's it everybody? Welcome back to Coral Reeches. It's Sanctum Gamer here, and we are back once again in our beautifully expanding region, following last week's awesome build where we expanded out on the shoreline that you see sort of bottom center of the screen, where we built out all those piers and we built the public beach. And today I will be looking at expanding off of that area. So the idea is today we're going to start expanding into this space where we're going to try and fill out as much of this area as I possibly can. If I can do this whole space in this episode, I will be very, very happy, but it is not likely because it might look like a small space, but it's actually a very, very big space. If you consider the fact that last week's video only covered like that space over there. So it actually takes a lot to fill out a large area like this, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to see how far we're going to get with that. But before we get started, I just thought that I would mention that over on the live stream channel on Twitch, we've started this new town over on this side, and this one is going to be nestled between some nice little hills over here. So if you want to follow along with that development, definitely check it out on Twitch, or you can catch the VODs on my sister Sanctum Gamer channel. To today's agenda, I want to start off by filling in this space. If you guys might remember last episode, I thought to myself that I was gonna fill in this entire space, but I was not able to do it. So I want to start off today by filling in the spot over here, and then we'll jump on to what my agenda is for the day, which is a little bit of development over in that space. But for now, I don't want to talk too much. I just want to jump right into the building so that I can try and get this area completed as soon as I can. right. We have filled in this entire space. You know, some areas, without a doubt, are a little bit harder to fill than others. And this is probably one of those. You know, every time you have these sort of awkward shapes, right? Getting something in there is, you never know how it's going to turn out. So often, if I don't have any like unique or specific idea of something to build in an area, I just go for generic stuff and just try and stick some buildings in there. So most of this area is medium, low-lying space, but I am going to transition this into slightly more not high rises. I don't think I'll have high rises here, but I want to have one or two big ones that will stand out, which will be sort of the iconic areas of the space. But over here, I wanted this place to just be old school, not downtown, but old school city building, just generic housing. And every now and then I try and squeeze in these elementary schools, which is pretty fantastic. So it's good to have these in here, because with these two now, I believe I have crept myself back into the green. And of course, the fact that I have lost so much of my population in the last video also helps a lot. So yeah, this place is starting to expand. But as I mentioned in the last video, my parking lots aren't getting a lot of use because a lot of people are coming in from this thing, the harbor over on this side, and they're walking all the way in. But at some point, once this area is filled in, we're going to do a massive public transport build, which will hopefully see me reconnect up all of these places and sort out this massive traffic jam that often forms over on that side because it's just too much happening over there. But for now, I mean, this is pretty cool. I'm liking how all of this is starting to shape out. And now I can start transitioning myself into this space where I'm going to try and start getting a little bit of height going. I want to build myself a little residential complex that is inspired by Il Brosco Verticale, I think is how it's pronounced. I will put it on the screen. I do apologize to my Italian brothers and sisters if I have mutilated that. But basically, it is a set of skyscrapers, I believe in Milan, that is covered in a whole lot of foliage and trees. And I thought that would be something very nice to build in this little area as a way of, you know, trying to do something different whilst at the same time keeping up with what I am doing in this space. So I'm going to clear out all these trees as a start, and I was thinking that I could make use of these UP assets. So UP Urban Promenades assets, they came out, I think it was last year. I'm not sure which ones exactly, but I thought this is a nice asset that I could use for it. So I just want to put it down over there, but I also thought I could mix it up with one or two of the other ones, like this one that also looks a little bit different, and just try and combine them to make 2 or 3 different towers and basically fill them up with trees. Now I'm gonna make use of the static Ploppables. Is that what it's called? Ploppables, static Ploppables. That it comes with the UP assets as well, right? The urban promenades. And if I can find the right matching one for this, then at least it will make it easier putting together stuff. There we go. This is the one. So this is the one that goes with that one. And then let me find the one that goes with this one. So this is the closest one that I can find that looks like this. I think they're the same thing. It's just colored differently, but I can orient them and make them work for me. And maybe I might mix in 1 or 2 of the other ones. I will see how it goes. But I want to keep these here so that it's easy for me to grab them and put them all together. But starting off, I want this tower or these towers to sit dead center of this area, and then we'll do development in and around it as well. So we'll probably put a couple of sports fields as an extension to the stadium, and then do a whole bunch of other towers or medium density buildings that I plan on also covering with a whole bunch of foliage. All right, everybody, we know what we're doing. Let's get cracking. Alrighty, before I proceed, I want to just take a pause and take a look at how things are shaping up here, because now we've got these two giant towers that's sitting over here, right? And at first I really liked the offset nature of this building because, you know, it makes it look architecturally interesting. But look at this. Look how gargantuan that looks. That looks huge, right? And like anywhere I am in the city, anywhere, look how it just stands out. It stands out like a sore thumb. And from afar, I actually think it looks very hideous. Very, very hideous. And I'm not a big fan of that. So I was considering only leaving this one as the main tower and then have a couple of smaller ones that are surrounding it. And I think that might be a better option. So this is gonna sit well with some people. It is not going to sit well with some people. But as of right now, I'm not a big fan of how this looks. I like this one. I think this one definitely fits in quite okay. Its size isn't too much. And this one looks a little bit too tall. It's starting to overshadow this one, especially if I remove this. So what I want to do is, I've created a save point with this tower in it. I'm going to delete all of this and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to keep it lower and then I'm going to develop out the rest of this area and see how all of that shapes out. Alrighty, let's see how this whole area has turned out. I was not sure whether this corner was going to turn out okay given the steep terrain. I had some really funky ideas of things that I wanted to do over here, but I tried a couple of things and none of them were working out. So in the end, I decided, you know what, let me just put down just these buildings, maybe try and level them out a little bit. And you know what, I've not placed office in a while, so this has ended up being a nice little office park and everything. So here we are with our big green building, which I think this looks a lot better than the big giant thing that was there before. I think it stands out whilst at the same time not being too much of an eyesore. And you can see from pretty much quite a far distance away in the city. It's a nice addition to it. It's something different. It's not your usual plop and go, but in this entire space we've got some nice green space that has taken shape over here. And I wanted the trees that are being built on all of this, or that are being grown on all of this, to sort of filter out into the surrounding areas. So the whole going green around here is starting to influence some of the areas that are just surrounding. And I don't know if maybe I'm getting a little bit too excited with a tree growing over here, but I don't think there should be a tree over there. But yeah, there we go, everybody. We've got ourselves a green forest skyscraper. Okay, it's not a skyscraper, I shot it in a skyscraper, but we've got a green forest building over here, and I think it looks quite cool. It's different, it's something new. I do wish, and I do think I can make this space, stand out a little bit more in terms of the greenery, which is always nice to have in cities. So let me just plop down one or two more trees that just help emphasize the green spaces around here, just so that it stands out a little bit more. I mean, I'm probably covering a couple of benches and stuff that I've put down already, but you know what? It is what it is. It's not the end of the world, as long as the place looks a nice kind of way. And yeah, there we go. A nice green space in the middle of all of this concrete jungle, because my plan is that this whole area is undergoing, quite the renovation, right? So around here, I want to try and make this look a little bit more old school. So more of the American southeast, southwest, or northeast. I'm not sure which one it is, but one of these new assets that just came out as part of the pack. I think I want to use a lot of them to build out some of this area, just to try and get that slightly more olden look to the entire city. Now, when building out this area, I thought I was squeezing a couple of sports fields in here to complete the stadium look, but I was not able to do that. So instead, I'm gonna shift to this side where I'm going to squeeze in a couple of fields and some practice grounds, or at least something like that, to try and see if I can get this whole place blended in as nicely as I can. So yeah, let's get some road networks in, and then let's see how we can pull this whole area together. Alrighty, let's take a pause. This whole little blocky area is filled in, and now we've got a couple of stadiums, or well, fields rather, that hang off just off of the main stadium over here, which now sits over here. And the idea is that we've got a little, play area here also at the back that caters for this more rundown-ish type of place. So it's not the prettiest, it's not the nicest. I've got cracked roads and dirt piles and all kinds of stuff in this area, and I'm using this American Northeast, I believe it is what these ones are called. These assets, I think, give a nice old school look, which I think blends it makes this whole area come alive quite a bit. I'm not a big fan of the colors of this because I think they are just too bright for this area, so I'm gonna make it that weird grayish funny color, and there we go. All right, so if you might recall, a couple of episodes back we built a whole lot of low rent housing over here, and the idea is that this space is now going to blend into this, and we're gonna sort of juxtapose the, I guess, not so upmarket area of this place with this little corner over here that is being reimagined, redeveloped, and so on. And I'm hoping that I can get the nice blend into this area in the same way, so that we can see that nice contrast that on the one side of this main road things are looking up, meanwhile on the other side things are not looking so up. And so that's my plan, and that's how I'm trying to work this entire area in. Now we've got this industrial port over on this side, which I need to blend into this whole space as well, and it's part of the reason why I got the low rent housing in here, which I am hoping I can get everything fitted nicely together. So with that said, I was looking at my city statistics, right? If I pull up my population stats, you will notice something. My unemployment rate is through the roof. And this is probably because since coming back, I've just been plonking down a whole bunch of buildings, residential and the likes, and everything is just skyrocketing in terms of population, but there are no jobs being created. And that probably explains why my population has been tanking for the last 3 videos. So people are moving in, but they are also moving out because they come in and they don't find jobs. Or people move into all of these new houses that I'm building, they don't find jobs, and then they end up moving out. So I need to address this problem if I want to see my city population going back up, and I think that needs to become my agenda for the next video. So I'm gonna leave this video here for today. It's a bit of a shorter than usual episode, but I think it's best I address the job problem before I jump into all of the expansions that I want to do over on this side, because most of the development I'm going to be doing on this side is going to be more aesthetics and things to take advantage of making this entire area look as good as I can. So in the next video, we're gonna jump back in here, and I'm hoping that I can blend this whole space into this area and then try and see if I can get the number of jobs available in the region back up to a manageable number, right? So that my unemployment is just not 27% or 24% or whatever it was. That is just unacceptable. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you've been here a while and you haven't done so already, and don't forget to turn on all of the notifications so you don't miss a single video going forward. Big thanks to all of my patrons and YouTube members for all the extra support you continue to choose to show the channel. It is truly appreciated. Enjoy the cinematics of our area and the city as a whole, and I shall catch you all in the next one. Cheers everybody.